Okay, welcome. We are here with Angelea, who's a photographer out of Nashville and has been a friend of mine for, gosh, I can't remember how many years. Um,
I know.
we go back to, what was it? It was in Italy, right?
Yeah, it was right after college, so 2012.
12,
Oh
yeah,
wait, no, you know what? I think it was 2014,
2014, yeah,
right
something
after
like that.
we moved to Nashville.
It's
Yep.
been 6 years at least. So, yeah, I remember all of us getting together over there in that 15th century castle. Um,
It
had
was
a
amazing.
pretty fabulous time. So anyway, we'd like to just have a conversation about what you've been up to and your style of photography, the type of shots you do, and we do have a small slideshow we'll go through, and we'll let you narrate as we move through those slides. A little bit behind the scenes information about those particular ones. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody? Talk a little bit about your bio.
Okay, perfect. Well, I am Angelea. I grew up in Wisconsin. I don't know if anyone knows where Janesville, Wisconsin is, but it's a small town in southeastern Wisconsin. Um, so probably in, let's see, August 2014, I decided to up and move to Nashville. I don't know what it is with the infatuation of country music with Wisconsin or Midwestern individuals, but myself, I loved country music, so I just figured Nashville would be a fun place to live, but also would be a good place to start photography or uh, continue my photography career because everyone down here is an artist and everyone has a brand and needs photos. So I just quit my job and moved down here without annoying anyone and started asking people if I could photograph them and just slowly networking and trying to get my way through trying to get jobs and yeah, it's been crazy, but it's going to be 6 years this August that I've been living here. So, and I've slowly, gradually have started focusing my career on food and fashion. So,
Yeah, I've been following your progress, and I agree with you. That's kind of a scary thing to do is pick up and move away from family and to a new town and basically starting
yeah,
all over again. But
yeah, it was scary. I wouldn't recommend doing it without having a job in place. At least if I did it again, I think I would have a job for sure, just because it is very scary. And but I just remember breaking out in all body hives like right before I left. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend not being financially stable
yeah,
or you go.
yeah, I could I could understand that breaking out in hives and probably I'd probably want to just crawl up and stay in bed all day. But
Yeah,
yeah, your photography is really taken off. You seem like you've got quite a few shoots going on, and I like your style. Um, I know it's your social media, which we'll put up your social media information here, so folks can find your Instagram and your Facebook page and your website. Tell me a little bit about your style, or actually, I tell you what. Let's start out from the beginning. What got you interested in photography?
so let's see. Junior year of college, I was going for my public relations degree, and one of the electives was film photography. And I've always really liked photography. And in fourth grade, I took a film photography class for just for fun during summer school. But I thought I would be good at it, so I took it. And this was like hardcore dark room and like with with Pentax 35 millimeters, which that art is hard to find now. So I'm really glad that I actually learned photography on film. It's an art that's it's a good thing to know, and it's a good foundation to have. So after that, I became the editor of my school paper, and they gave us a new camera to to use for the paper. And I took it home that summer and just started practicing on my friends and family, and just started taking some portraits. And I started really liking taking portraiture. Um, and then slowly I moved into like, the families and kids and kind of weddings. Um, and then gradually, of course, moved to food and fashion down here. And then after that, I mean, you can attest to this, Jim. I met Clay Blackmore in college. I went to a presentation of his called, oh, what was it? No, I just lost it. Pose It, Light It, Love It.
Yeah.
And he showed he showed this video that he had made of his weddings and the way he works and just the clients' reactions and his different images. And I don't know, something came over me and I was just like, I just started crying in the front seat. And when I was sitting there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I want to be a photographer. And then I went up to him and I said, do you ever do internships or anything? And he's like, I don't have anything available or anything right now, but I am doing this master class in Italy if you want to look into that. So I had called Monty's Welfare Education, and that class was actually full. And so I was like, oh, darn it. I guess it wasn't meant to be true or whatever. But maybe like a couple months after that, I just called just to see if there was any update or an opening. And there had been one cancellation like the day before I called. So I was like, well, sign me up. I'm a broke college student, but that's okay. I'm in following a dream. So yeah, that Italy masterclass was the one thing that just gave me so much energy and love for the industry. So
Yeah, I think it's seemed like it was a confidence builder too. I
it was.
recall.
I went all by myself. So
Yeah, that's what I recall was that you were there by yourself and venturing out as a young lady just out of college and going halfway around the world,
yeah, I think I
pursuing
gave my
your
best
dream.
defense ever, but that's okay.
It's interesting you say that because about the same time as when I had met Clay over at Tampa, at one of his, probably was that same educational forum that he had been doing across the country, and I found out about the Italy trip at that point. That's what spurred us to take that trip. So, as far as what type of gear are you using now?
So right now I'm using the Canon Mark III, and then primarily the 100 and a 35. Those are my go-tos for almost every session.
Your consistency of your photos is very noticeable across everything there. Do you mainly use natural light, or do you use any type of flash or off camera?
Not primarily. I use natural light whenever possible. I'm a big fan of window light,
Yeah.
but I I do need to learn lighting. Like that is my goal. But primarily everything is natural light.
Well, it's your style is phenomenal, and your eye for photography is great. So I don't think you have a whole lot to learn. It's it speaks for itself, really. So how who I mean, you mentioned Clay. I know he has had an impact on you. Who else has had an impact on you as far as the type of photography that you do?
Sure. So when I was just starting photography, what really inspired me were those like classic black and white fashion editorials that you've seen in Vogue, Vanity Fair, everything. I mean, I all the perfume and cologne um, commercials or ads in the magazines. I used to rip them out. But Bruce Weber, who has shot like Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, Abercrombie and Fitch, I love the feeling of those photographs. And then the same kind of with Peter Lindbergh, who sadly passed away. But what I loved about him is that his black and whites were so natural, and he didn't like taking out blemishes of models. Like he just photographed them as they are, and that's a big thing that I strive to do. I don't like to remove moles. I don't like to use like the liquefy tool. You know, I just like to photograph people how they are and how God made them. So I really looked up to him as an idol and a photographer. And then lastly, lately, since this quarantine hit, I've found a new photographer that I am an absolutely love her work. Her name is Amy Newensinger, and she shoots all of the stuff for like Joanna Gaines, Crate and Barrel, and a lot of different food photography. But what I love about her work is that it's so natural and true to color. So it's it's got so much depth as well. So you'll see like in some of my photographs, I try to kind of to learn from her. So it's not just like a bowl sitting on or a bowl sitting on the ground and you photograph that. There's just so many different elements that create depth in that photo, and that's what I love about her work.
Yeah, I've seen your food photography develop over the last several months. You seem to, you got plenty of time with the quarantine and everything, and it's really great that you're able to do that and transition from shooting pictures and portraits of people when some people just are a little bit concerned about getting out and getting around photographers and in general. But I've seen some of the flat work you've done with the food, and the lighting looks great, and the layouts. I can see how you're styling it. And are you doing that yourself, pretty much?
I am. That's it's funny because when in high school I got on the career aptitude test, it came back as food stylist, and I was like, "What? This doesn't make any sense. Like, I want to be a pediatric anesthesiologist, and there's no way of changing that." And here we are. But that's a big thing I've also gotten from Amy Newensinger is like food styling techniques and just different things to watch for and different perspectives to shoot food. And the biggest thing of shooting food in quarantine is that I want to show people that you don't need a huge studio or thousands of dollars to shoot something to make it beautiful. I mean, I'm just shooting on free tiles I got from Facebook Marketplace because I didn't have flooring. And then I'm shooting underneath my carport at a certain hour of the day, so usually evening. But yeah, you don't need anything, but I mean, I guess you need to know how to cook a little bit, which I definitely don't. So I won't tell anybody what some of my secrets are about that. You might not want to eat the food that I photographed, but it looks
Well,
good. So
yeah, it presents itself well, and some of the stuff you've had there, I'm thinking, this looks like it'd be pretty tasty.
yeah, some of the spices on there, I don't actually know what I put on there, but they looked cool. So
That's the important part. I know
yeah,
a lot of food photographers use things that are inedible. Like when they put the
oh my
water
gosh,
on the
yeah, I know.
side, the glycerin, and when they're shooting bowls of cereal, it's not really milk.
No, it's
So
blue.
yeah, so so you also you did shoot some entertainers there, didn't you? Do some album covers for groups or individual people?
I did my first album cover that I would say that I was extremely proud of was of Gretchen Wilson. She's a good friend of one of my good friends here, and she connected us both together, and we just shot in the studio one day, and I didn't know, but she chose one of my photos to be the actual CD, and that was just really special to me. And she gave me like a signed CD, and I don't know, it just really it was that oh my gosh moment, like
Hmm.
that dream that I thought that I went after to move to Nashville. That was a part of that coming true. So
Yeah. How do you find when on the side of shooting entertainers and people? How do you find some of your subjects?
Um, I I usually work with modeling agencies here, so I'll work with talent scouts or honestly just social media. I'm really inspired by different facial features. So if I just see somebody either like tagged in photos or just in my feed, I'll kind of just like just go and try to find that person and message them and see like, hey, I don't want to be a creep, but I'm a fashion photographer here. I would love to photograph you if you have the time. Um, yeah, so I really like, I don't know, just like freckles, um, like sleeves of tattoos, just stuff that you don't see every day. And I just think that needs to be photographed. It's really pretty. So
Yeah.
that's my bad.
Speaking of the social media side, are there any? I'm sure there are groups in Nashville for photographers and models. Do you belong to any of those? Do you participate in any events like that?
Uh, there's several groups in Nashville that are for like Nashville photographers or um, models or makeup and hair stylists. Um, I'm probably part of all of them. I can't think of all of the names on the top of my head, but
Sure.
I mean, I tend to gravitate towards photographers who have the same style that I do. So I really like that film look, or um, I really like following other fashion photographers or food photographers. But um, usually, like, there's a group called Looks Like Film,
Mm.
and there's one for Tennessee, and there's one for like internationally that I follow all the time. And I am inspired by all of the different photos that people post and whatnot. So, but it's a good way to find um, different people to connect with as
Yeah.
well, which is why I'm part of every single one.
Yeah. That's what we do that here in Florida quite often. Um,
Yeah.
so, have you reached out to any magazines, fashion or food wise, to get publications?
So yes and no. There's a certain caliber that I would like to be at, both in fashion and food, um, to present my portfolio to them. I have met with various agencies before to present my work, and they gave me a lot of good positive critique and to take back with me. And I just don't feel like um, I'm at the level where I would want to present that yet. I have a lot of different goals that I want to meet, and um, I just want to get to a point where I'm like so proud of every single one of my works. But especially during this quarantine, I have started making like a list of different Nashville restaurants actually that I would like to reach out to in terms of proposing like a food photography. Um, what should I say? Like a food photography contract or whatnot with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think it would be a good idea to just network with a lot of restaurants because Nashville's a huge food scene. So I think I could meet with a lot of chefs, and I don't know, it would be a lot of fun. So that's my next goal, I think, and then the advertising agencies are my next
Yeah.
thing. So,
Well, don't cut yourself short. You're doing tremendous work,
um,
and I expect to see you getting a cover of a Bon Appetit or something like that, or Vogue.
well, my big goal is to have a big ad posted in Times Square.
There you go.
That is like my number one goal in
There
life.
you go.
Is and if it was a Calvin Klein ad, that
that's
would be
what.
better. That
That's
would
what.
be a Calvin Klein ad.
That's
And
what popped in my mind when you said that. It was a Calvin Klein ad.
yep, yep, that is my dream is to shoot a Calvin Klein.
So about once you're finished with your shoot and everything, your post processing. Tell us a little bit about what you use, what software, and what do you go through for your post processing.
Sure, I do just Lightroom and Photoshop. So I am one of those who spend hours sometimes on a single photo. just because I'm a perfectionist, and that's not great sometimes. But
Yeah.
you know, I'll load everything into Lightroom, and then get my black and whites and get my color images to the way I would like them, and then I transfer them over to Photoshop, where I have specific techniques that I like that you can't do in Lightroom that you can do in Photoshop. So like levels and different curves, color balances, and then that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do too. Get most of my edits, correcting things that didn't go properly in camera. But as you mentioned earlier, with the film days, I come out of the film days myself, and back then, you had to get it right in the camera as much as possible. You could do so
Yeah,
much, post processing in the dark room, but you really try to get the exposure and everything correct there. So some of that still lingers with me, and then you go into Lightroom and you can do a little bit more things, and then over in the Photoshop side, some more creative stuff. But yeah, I could tell with your style that you have. You, like I said, you've got consistency there, and it looks real
thank
natural.
you.
So why don't we transition the screen here and bring up these images? And what I'll do is I'll let you narrate those, and I will advance them along. So if I miss one or something, just let me know. Once you've commented on a photo, tell me next photo, and we'll move forward there. So let's get this up
Okay.
here. Okay, there we go. Don't know if that's your first one. Let's see. Yeah, that's your first image there. So
Okay, perfect. So this is my first shoot that was just a couple weeks ago, I guess. I haven't done a lot of portraiture since COVID hit, just because of social distancing and such, and just to be safe. But this is my friend Ellie and her horse, and I shot all of this on my 100 to obviously stay more than 6 feet apart. And then, but this ended up being one of my favorite shoots I've ever shot before. And I think photographers need a break sometimes, just to have that creative those creative juices flowing. So I've always wanted to shoot with a horse. Specifically a fashion shoot. I think it's just so unique, and you don't run into a horse in a fashion shoot every single day. But it reminds me of like that Tommy Hilfiger or Ralph Lauren look. And I don't know if you've seen the ads of the couple running away on a horse, but I was like, I can shoot that someday. But this is what inspired me to do this shoot with her. And it was she's such a great model as well. So it was just naturally an amazing shoot. And so we shot this during golden hour, and it was actually just done pouring rain. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna downpour. This shoot's gonna be ruined, not good. So it ended up being absolutely perfect. And in some of that, I'm not going to show here, but there's actually a full rainbow in the back of this, which is really cool. So I'll have to share some of those once I get them uploaded and such.
okay,
But
let me go to the next one.
here's another one from her, and that black and white, it just gives that classic look. So
Okay, this next one. This guy's got a real distinctive look.
yes. So here's another. I connected with him over Instagram actually, and he's from Wisconsin, which is quite a coincidence. But he is now a professional model in Milan. And he was home for Christmas break, and so we were only an hour from each other. Our hometowns are an hour from each other, so we met up on probably the coldest day in Wisconsin over my break. And he was a trooper, but this shoot maybe lasted 10 minutes because we were so cold, and you could tell in his lips and his eyes, and just like shards of ice were just like coming at him. But he just pulled it off so well, and I like it just because it's got that look that I've really like dreamed of having, or that inspires me. since I started photography, that high contrast black and white look.
Yeah. And this next one is similar to that too, with the high
Yep,
contrast.
yep.
Now, was this in the same area up in Wisconsin, or was this in Nashville?
No, this is actually in Nashville. Some of you might recognize her from The Bachelor, but this is my friend Olivia, and we met in New York City. And then when she moved to Nashville, we met up and we took a couple shots here, and she pulled it off great. And I just love how it's just a classic headshot, and nothing special. There's a clean background, and it's just high contrast black and white.
Yeah. Did you shoot with her in New York? I think I saw some images you shot in New York.
I
Was she
did. I did. I think it's in this. It might be in this slideshow. I
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay.
So this one, I love shooting on the beach. Skylines and the beach are my two favorite backdrops for photography. So this one, we also connected on Instagram. So whenever I travel, I try to do a shoot with somebody, just for the fun of it. And I want my portfolio to be diverse. So I wanted a challenge to shoot somewhere that I've never been. So this is my friend Michaela now, and we got up probably around 5 for this shoot, just because the lighting gets so harsh right away on the beach because obviously there's no shade. But so this was taken at dawn, and she was already so sweaty, and I can just remember there's just like buckets of sweat pouring down. She's like, "This isn't gonna look good at all," and but I had her just jump, and it only took one shot, and we got it. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I love this image, and I think it represents a lot of different things. If you look at it, or after the fact, it represents just simplicity, freedom. I don't know. It just the flow of it and the movement I really love. So that's why it's kind of one of my favorite photos.
Yeah, the model's expression is real goes really
hmm
well with the image too.
So this is my favorite shoot, one of my favorite images I've ever taken. And I think it's because the teamwork behind the scenes of this specific photo, it took a lot of different hands to make this photo um, happen. And that's in like all art forms, it takes teamwork to make something brilliant. So this, my friend Emily James, she's a fashion designer here. She designed that dress, and then there's a couple people holding that dress like on the corners, and then they're going like this to
Mm.
create movement with the flowers that are sewn on there, and then I'm standing like right next to the girl who's going like this and shooting the skirt at eye level. So it was just really cool from what came out of that, and then with all the hair and makeup by my friend Glennis, and it was just great. So
Yeah, it's almost
I
like the
love this
wind.
photo.
It's almost like the wind is coming off onto the balcony and blowing the
Yes.
dress and the flowers. You can see the movement in there. Let's see. Okay.
And then this was a styled shoot with one of the local bridal salons here in Nashville. And what I love about this photo is that you can see every single detail of that white dress. And if photographing weddings is sometimes difficult because when girls have white dresses and if you're outside, it's sometimes hard to not blow out the details of that dress. And what I love about this is that like every single layer, all the intricate detail of that lace is shown, and that's important if you're wanting to uh, advertise a bridal dress or wedding dress. But I also love the movement of this as well. I just had her pretend like she was walking up the hill, and then casually look back.
Yeah, you're right. If you're shooting a live wedding and you're shooting the dress the bride's paid literally thousands, if not ten thousands of dollars for the dress. You want to make sure you
Yeah.
don't blow out the details, that you get every little fold, every little crease, and how the fabric and
Yep.
the texture. So that's very, very important.
So this one, I have always loved the art form of ballet. When I was a little girl, I was in dance class and I wanted to be a ballerina like most girls, but um, I had to have foot surgery, and then sadly, that dream of like Juilliard and point shoes and such kind of dissipated. But the Nashville Ballet, the company dancers, I've become pretty good friends with, and they're great to work with. So this is Kendall. She is a company dancer, and this was taken actually at the Nashville Public Library in their courtyard. Um, and I I kind of left it up to her to do the posing, obviously, because I'm not a professional dancer, but I do know like some basic movements. But I really like catching ballet dancers in midair. So this one I just think captivates her grace and just so much talent as well. So I love this photo.
Yeah, you caught that at the right moment, that's for sure.
Here's another high contrast black and white. And this was taken just in a backyard on top of a makeshift tiki hut. So it just shows that you don't have to have like a big studio or whatnot to get a picture that you 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 deem as that caliber. So I'm very proud of this photo, and these two models just hit it out of the park. But this was taken at least 3 years ago now, so it's been a while. Okay, this is my friend Lauren, and uh, my friend Glennis and her. We just decided to shoot for fun one day, and that's the thing. Most of my images, my favorite images, come from the shoots that just are for fun. They don't need to be for money or for a specific purpose. They're just to shoot and have fun with other creative people, and that's what we did with this. And I literally just had her squat down on the ground, and there's a big vine wall behind her, and I wanted to catch her profile or her jawline because it was so distinct, and then her bright blue eyes. So I love this photo as well. It's a definite one for the portfolio, probably forever.
Yeah, that is a real nice one with the coloring with her hair, her complexion, and yeah, you did catch that really nice with the jawline coming down through there. Okay, we're moving into food.
Yes. So all of these food photos, or at least most of them, I've taken during quarantine. Um, some of the dessert photos that you'll see, I've been working with um, a woman here who is extremely talented, and her name is Sophia. She is a chocolate, just a magician. So I'm working on a special project with her, and some of these photos are a part of that project. And I'm not going to say any more because I don't think I'm going to. She hasn't released a lot of it yet, but these are some of the photos part of the project. So um, these are obviously brownies that were amazing. Um, and then here's another one, and I just love her attention to detail. And she took like a chocolate drizzle and just did it diagonal, and she did it on the first try, which mine would look like a complete mess if I did that. But yeah, so she had a specific vision for this shot, and it was a close up where the food would extend off the frame. So I really liked that one as well.
Yeah, that in it is styling the food, and being a culinary artist is an art in itself.
Okay, so it's peach season, and I there's a they're called the Peach Truck here in Nashville, and they have the best peaches ever. So I thought I would photograph them just for something for color and summary and stuff. And here's another example of something you can photograph that isn't extravagant. It's literally a peach. And I took one of those free tiles I got from Facebook and put it on the ground. And then one of those just lunch sacks that you had as a kid. And I just put it on the side and then a little wooden bowl next to it. And then kind of arranged the peaches in a nice little thing. And then I snipped some flowers from my pot outside and then just kind of sprinkled it around. But it actually has ended up being one of my favorites so far of this quarantine. So
Yeah,
I had to share that one.
I like how the colors all come together in that color palette that is there.
Okay, so here I used window light for this photo, and this is on my coffee table. And I brought my step stool over and I shot over it. I wish there was a behind the scenes photo because I made a complete mess of my living room. But this is kind of inspired by that photographer I spoke about earlier, Amy Newensinger. And you see she incorporates elements that may have been needed in that pie or such. So like the crumbles of brown sugar, the spices, and the eggs. And I really like how she's used farm fresh eggs versus than white eggs, just because they're just so much more colorful, and sometimes they have different textures or different like speckles on it. And then I added some bronze silverware just instead of silver, just to add to that warm hue.
Yeah, that's really complimentary of that. Okay.
And here's another food photograph that's just incredibly simple. It's just flour, butter, and eggs, and I love it. And this is just taken on a square tile as well, and just kind of, I didn't know what I was doing. This was one of my first shots out of quarantine. And then I just kind of put the eggs over here and chopped the butter up a little bit nicely, and then boom.
Well, it came out really well, that's for sure.
Thanks.
So, what are some of the things you're going to be doing? Got any other shoots planned? I know you did some today earlier. Was that a model
I
shoot?
did. Yes, I did a sunrise shoot this morning. So,
Oh, nice.
man, that was the earliest I've gotten up in a long time, but it was worth it because the lighting was absolutely perfect. So, I have shoots that I've always wanted to do, or people I've always wanted to shoot with. So, I'm kind of still staying away from portraiture a little bit until things hopefully get better. I'm one of those who are pretty safe right now, so it'll just be like a one-off thing that I could shoot from far away. Those are the kind of portrait sessions I'm doing right now. But I would like to do some more food stuff that's a little bit taking it to the next level. So instead of doing some of those simple things like flour and sugar, I would actually like to connect with other people that might be able to help me with the dishes, or to make them a little bit more complicated looking, I guess. That's probably my next step. But otherwise, just practicing still, just different concepts, different faces I haven't photographed before. That's one of my goals, is to try finding new people to
Yeah.
shoot and stuff. And I know that's hard right now because everyone's staying inside and stuff. But
Yeah. Well, well, Angelea, I really appreciate the time going through this. It was great to catch back up with you again live, if we could say, not in person, but again, if we ever get up towards the Nashville area, once this COVID stuff's all down and we can start to do some traveling again, Carl and I'd like to maybe just come by through there and visit for a bit. And wish you the best and wish you all the luck. And again, thanks for this time. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm not too great of a speaker, but this
You
was
did you
fun.
did really well.
Well, I appreciate it so much. But yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, well, you take care now.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.